The Clashing Conferences Podcast. Let's go.
Welcome back, everybody. The Clashing Conferences Podcast and the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network.
I know
We're back here with the NFC East crew. Don't get us confused with the college crew, who is also going right now and doing a great job. Bunch of new guys and new faces coming on the college show.
Awesome.
Check that out. It drops on Fridays, I think, the day after ours does. So
Nice.
It's a good one. Those guys are pretty funny. I don't know if any of you guys are. I know Chris is, but Paul doesn't even watch our own show. So I mean, I guess you
Paul,
live
like
it,
and
so you don't
subscribe,
have to
Paul.
watch it,
Put some
but
good content out there.
it would be nice if you were a fan. But anyway, let's take a look at Week 11 here. We got two big games in the division. We had Houston going, or I guess, where was that game, Randy?
It was
that
in AT&T Stadium. The light was.
That's
You
right.
didn't see the
Backwards
stadium
again.
falling
I
apart?
forgot the stadium was falling in on them.
God,
Yeah.
Jerry was just walking around on the sideline.
A lot of light
how much
issues.
that would have.
You know
that
who
would've
I
helped
wish
out
was
your
walking around on the
situation so much.
sidelines? Dak Prescott. If he was walking around on the sidelines,
Maybe you collect an insurance policy or something.
well, we would
Get
at
him
least
off the
got out of the
books.
contract.
Oh, Chris knows all
That's what
about
I'm
that.
saying. We'll get into all of it, but Houston whooped up on, or I guess I should let me quote actually. Houston stomped Dallas.
Yeah.
Greg's quote from last week when he said Houston was going to stomp Dallas. It
Wow.
occurred 34-10, and big game Philadelphia against Washington, winning 26-18. Greg, you had that one right too. You said they were going to win by 7. They won by 8. You said they were going to hold Jaden Daniels under 30 yards. You got it. You called it this week. In our internal competition, we had Hurts, to my dismay. Randy, what was my guy's name? I don't remember my guy's
Brian
name.
Anger?
Anger, yeah.
Brian Anger. I was rooting for him. He went 1 for 1 for the Cowboys, had 100% completion percentage, and can't even win QBR. There's
We
just
have
more
yards.
QBR controversies.
I'm not sure what if you're getting 100% of your passes. What the
How much better can
requirements
you
are
do?
to win this? You can't do better.
4 yards. Come on.
So-
what are we doing here?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Hurts gets QBR on controversy.
No one likes
under
Jalen
controversy. We got longest
Not
touchdown.
even Greg.
No.
Does
I
go
like
to
him.
Dallas and Cavante Turpin. Am I saying that right, Randy? Who knows?
Turpin.
But a
Mhm.
64-yard
But I didn't know how
touchdown
to say
catch.
Dowdle last year, so.
Fair enough.
You don't know how to say a lot of
I don't know if we
things.
can take your word for that or not. We will for now. And then in receptions, we had a tie. A big number, too. 8 receptions out of Eckler for Washington and 8 receptions out of Lamb with Cooper Rush, their quarterback for Dallas.
Little
So good
bright
numbers for
spot
both
there.
of you. That gives Greg
Bright spot.
14 points for the year. That
8
gives
catches.
Paul 11.
Hey, the defense didn't play
99.
too bad.
Chris, you're at the bottom there at 6.
I'm going to be at the bottom the rest of the year, buddy.
Yes,
Greg?
you are.
We're gonna keep
Everywhere,
leading-
hopefully.
We're going to keep leading off with Greg until he's either not winning this competition or the Eagles lose a game. I mean, you've
Oh,
been
don't
getting
do
the
that
rights
to me,
to lead
Mike.
off for a while.
I mean,
so-
it won't be long.
Listen. 6-0 since the bye. Boys are looking good, but I guess I'll start with how about them Cowboys?
There's the line, Paul.
Yes!
There's the line.
Yes.
I'm going to talk about them first. Just, our game was great. I'll get into it, Paul. I want your takes. But I got to start. Everything is falling apart. You got stuff hanging from the stadium. I watched the Mike Tyson fight, and they closed the blinds. Imagine that. I closed the blinds for the Mike Tyson fight. It's unreal. I love how it's all falling apart in New York and down in Dallas. But let's focus on Dallas first. Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny. I mean, you stout, good defense. You gave up 34 points. You haven't won a game at home all year. You scored your first touchdown at home this week. It's sad.
Who
It's
was
sad.
fighting Mike Tyson?
Jake Paul.
Jake Paul.
Jake Paul won at AT&T Stadium.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, good
I
golly.
just-
There's a Diddy dig.
Yeah.
I'm deleting it right now. It was on the list.
Off the list.
Man. No, it's just I'm sorry. I have to thrive in these moments. You know, we
Yeah,
were
you don't
so
get them that
confident,
often.
and now it's just like a dumpster fire. It's like now we're going to trade Parsons and give up a first round pick to jump up and get Shador because that's where he wants to go. You're going to get Neon Dion to be your
Oh,
coach,
dude.
but still have Jerry Jones right there. That's your problem.
Listen.
You're never gonna get away from
What
it.
are they going to do with that if they draft him?
They're going to trade him.
I you know what? I was just reading. He has his
Not to us.
contract is
no, not to you.
a non-trade contract.
Dude, that
No trade clause.
No trade clause, and the other one was there's like no way out of it. Like
really?
literally,
Well, it's also the amount of it. Also, I don't think you'd be able to do it anyway.
232
it's like,
billion guaranteed. It's unreal.
It's like having a credit card bill of $75,000 and paying $150 a month on it.
Man,
like,
that DJ contract's
you're
not
never
looking
gonna-
bad right now, is
I
it?
wouldn't say that. It's like having a credit card bill of 70,000 and paying 20 grand a month. Like we don't have that long. It's a 4-year contract. We're already a year into it. But
yeah, but you're a 4-year contract into him. You're a several-year contract in the Lamb. You have Parsons.
Well, see, I
contract.
think
Like,
Lamb is much more susceptible to be getting traded. If Dak's not going to be the answer, Lamb's the only trade we can do. Like, he's the one we got locked up.
So then you're going to go draft a quarterback and get rid of his number one wide receiver?
I don't think they're going to draft a quarterback. I mean, they might. I really think they're going to go after that running back from Boise.
Don't make that.
You know what?
Right,
I didn't believe it when we
drafted
Zeke
the running
Elliott.
back in the top 2 or 3. That ain't
with
going to
that
work.
good
either.
offensive line, that's going to be great. I hope you guys do that.
Adrian Peterson made it work. Zeke Elliott made it work.
And you'll end up trading him to your rival.
Yeah, we know all how that works. But,
we didn't trade him. We didn't trade him.
Boom!
You set yourself up for that one, Topher.
Yeah.
I did it on purpose.
The layup.
Okay.
But other than
we didn't
CeeDee
trade
Lamb having a couple catches, I don't see a bright spot. I
There
mean,
is
your
one
defense-
other bright spot, Greg.
Your defense is shaky at best. I mean, it's tough.
Pretty much
it's
you
tough
suck,
going down to
Randy.
Dallas.
Pretty much
it's
suck.
difficult for you. I feel bad for you sometimes.
Remember last year how you were
A
going
man
to
knows
not
what
do
suck
anything?
looks like. A man knows what suck looks like.
Hey,
Definitely not.
So let's
definitely.
concentrate
I
on the
will-
good game. Let's concentrate on the good game. We'll talk about the crappy games later. So I think Paul was on to something when he sent us that text about the stuff that was found at the airport, because as you dive into that, you will see there was I think they called it a stone wall. Yes.
Greg, let the viewers know what you're talking about.
So Paul
Thanks,
sent us
Randy.
a text letting us know that there was something left on an airplane, and it was a Washington defensive playbook. So I dove into it a little bit, and it had some really interesting sets. There was one play. I think it was called the 6-1 Stonewall. So basically, they matched D-line to O-line, and then put that 6th defender on the tight end. And I've never seen them run that before all year. And I was like, wait a minute, maybe Paul is onto something. I thought he was joking, like, look what I found on the internet. No, I definitely think that was legit. I don't know who it was or where it came from, but that was their playbook.
Paul, was that found in the
absolutely insane
Philadelphia
to me.
airport?
Yeah.
And it was found by one of your son's friends, right?
It's his dad. His dad works for the airport.
So, again, I don't know if Washington flew to Philadelphia for the game or what, but
I guarantee you they flew to Philadelphia.
It does seem
Sounds
if it's
like
floating around that much, I'm sure it got into some Philadelphia coaches' hands.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, it took us 3 quarters to adjust to that.
It did.
I mean, if you think about that, like, we settled for a field goal, and we were down 7-3 at half. We come out, we kick a field goal in the third quarter, and we didn't make any real adjustments till the end of the third, or going into halftime, I guess. And then we had the adjustment, or I don't remember if we caught them sleeping with our first touchdown, or caught them sleeping, or they jumped out of the 6-1, or they got tired, whatever it was. But after that, we just put it on them. And at that point, it was like, wow, okay. But it took that long to adjust. It was a good, well-played game of chess. It was, all right, I'm going to stop you with Barkley. We're doing a 6-man front, which means we're going to put 2 linebackers. We're going to bring a corner or a safety down. We're putting 8-9 in the box. Good luck with this. And that's pretty much how it went for the first 3 quarters. And then after that, Barkley started popping them and did what he did. Jalen looked pretty good. He looked poised. What was he? I mean, he didn't have crazy numbers. I think he had 220 some yards, but he looked decent. They forced us to try to attack with that, and then that opened the run. Again, Barkley with an unbelievable game. But I think, like, we talked about it last week, or I talked about it last week. Since Cooper DeJean came into our fold as a nickelback, we've been playing 90% nickel on defense, and it's crazy. We're almost playing almost like a cover one, come at us, and Q and Cooper DeJean, they're balling, and our D line, they're covering.
He's the great white hope.
Yeah, white hope. It's hilarious to me, like how on point these guys are, and they're putting the league on notice, and it's crazy. They're talking about him now. They're talking about Q. I don't think Q has given up a touchdown all year. His statistics are ridiculous.
Yeah,
but
anyway, I've just seen that.
Yeah, it's starting to come together.
And they are playing well, on D. They are, and I said I'd give them credit. They look a lot. I mean, I gave you shit because of the beginning of the year, but their secondary really stepped it up.
Beginning of the year, they played horrible, and again, I don't know if that's a new system or what, but we just weren't clicking. And now our defense is driving our offense, and they're keeping us in games, and matter of fact, winning us games. And if those guys can keep covering well on the back end, it's going to allow us to have more pressure on the front end with our D line. So shout out to Paul for a well-played game. Shout out for Paul for finding that playbook. And it was true. It actually really, those plays were there, and they used them, which I thought was pretty cool. So we'll kind of see what's going on with the future. What did you think of the game, Paul? What were your thoughts?
I thought it was a very exciting game to watch until the fourth quarter, and I'm surprised you didn't mention it. I'm surprised you didn't mention it, but I will. The 4th and 2 where we went for it instead of kicking the field goal. Ever since, after that, I'm not saying they should have done it or not, although we had 2 yards to go and 3 plays to do it and got nowhere on any of them.
Right. I don't know why you didn't kick it, to be honest with you. That's where my Jim posted something on his podcast the other day, player of the game. I gave it to your coach. I gave it to your coach for not going for it. So I appreciate that. He had a Nick Sirianni moment and thought that he could get it with your big offensive line, and our D stepped up at the right time. So,
yeah, and I mean, the game was going well, and I would love to have on paper. You've got one of the top 2 teams that I would switch and love to have on paper, the offense. I would absolutely switch your offense, to my team. But
including quarterback,
yeah, because I know what I'm getting. I mean, we're in 3 quarters of a year of RG 3.2. So let me make sure. I want to make sure that he's not going to get the yips.
He can take a surprising answer, though.
That is a surprising answer to me as well.
I think it's funny because I agree with Paul, and the rest of you 3 shook your head like you would take James Daniels every day over Jalen Hurts.
I would. I mean, I see it.
I would like to.
No, Greg, I didn't say I'm not saying I would. I'm saying he's a fan of the Commanders.
Well,
I'm surprised he's not riding with this guy.
Oh, I mean, I think absolutely. But I'm also, I've told you, I've been tiptoeing the whole time. His
explanation makes sense.
Yeah. Wow, that's brown nose.
But I can tell you that, I mean,
well, he's an undercover Eagles fan too, Randy. So I mean, not that.
Of course. Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. So, I mean, from a defensive standpoint, for the most part, through 3 quarters, we did all right too. I mean, the one thing that's working out so far.
That means nobody must have found the playbook
with his new regime is
help him too much to the 4th quarter.
Is that I agree with our head coach? We have Dan Quinn, and what is our defense? Those scrubs and all those people that Mike says sucks, and I'm not saying they don't. I mean, Luvu and Jeremy Chin are my favorite players I've never heard of before.
They're playing
3 months ago.
Playing well.
Yeah, and what does Dallas's defense look like now? I mean, 2 years ago they had the number 1 defense in the league.
And
last year,
and as long as he doesn't, try and dabble or say a damn word, not one word, Cliff Kingsbury about offense, things should be okay. So about the game, I mean, if you look at the stats from the first 3 quarters, it was really even. And then at the end, we ended up getting, I don't know the term for it, out yardaged by like almost 200 yards, 135 plus in rushing. Besides that 4th and 2, Daniels did throw a pick. I think it's our 4th or 5th turnover the entire season. He did throw a pick. So like, it just seemed like it was over. And to be honest, the last touchdown, it looked like a nice drive. It sort of was garbage time, but it was a nice looking drive all of a sudden. But I think we are still for real. I'm not going to call us frauds. You are more than welcome to FedEx that defensive play scheme down to Dallas next week, because they're gonna freaking need it for sure. So I do have a couple of things to say about. I'm not going to say anything about the Dallas game. It doesn't matter.
Did we lose Greg here?
Oh, we might have.
He got. It said he was reconnecting, but I lost him too.
I just lost him. Keep going. Hopefully the digs weren't. Oh, there he is.
There he is.
Yikes!
So Paul was just getting ready to dig at you.
Yeah, I don't
know. My wife must not have paid the internet bill.
There's a couple of things that Diddy is digging on right now. The ones for the for the Eagles, like here's a
digging
quote
on these oranges
from freaking munchies. The a quote from Eli Manning said, "It takes a little while to get used to Philly because you're not used to seeing a 9-year-old cursing at you and talking about your mom." I thought that was great.
Oh my god!
I'm flipping the double bird.
No, you're good, Greg.
And I don't know if we've talked about Saquon's stats. He doesn't have half the stats he should. If you look at, he has 9 touches this year that ended on the 1-yard line, and none of them ended up in a touchdown by him. Not a single one ended up in a touchdown from him. He only touched the ball 1 time and lost yardage. The other 8 were touched by Jalen Hurts, and
like 7 were
seven ended up being a touchdown for Hurts. So
they actually brought that up to him in the media this week, and he said, "I don't care. I'd rather Jalen have him. I'd rather Kenny G get him. I don't need him."
Yeah, no, I agree.
That's just the player he is.
I agree. I mean, he's definitely a giver for sure. I don't really have a good play on that. I wanted to, but I don't really have anything I can say. It's just, damn it, he's a nice guy.
He is a good guy.
Some people hate him, though. I don't know why. Some people hate him.
I don't hate him. I just hate what he did and the way he did it.
So I want to talk about your game this week, Chris. Because
my game? Why would you want to talk about my? Because of DeVito, the most popular third-string quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, if you want to bring it up,
call your team a circus.
If you want to bring it up, I'll say.
Why don't we hold DeVito for half 2?
Yep, but Mike was right.
He brought him up.
They are going to play their worst player, so you go for your backup is still your backup, and you take your 1-3 and your 3-1, which means you are trying to lose. So Mike was right about that.
So let me ask you this:
I think they just think Locke sucks. I think they're done with the Locke thing.
How does that make free agents feel though? Like, hey, I know Daniel Jones is injury prone. I know I have a chance to play. I am going to sign here. Oh, and by the way, now I don't get a chance to play.
So, well, here's an interesting
They brought him in first last time. He looked terrible.
Circus.
Yeah, but here's an interesting thing. He is the highest paid. Drew Lock is the highest paid backup in the league.
That's the worst part of the whole thing.
$5 million a year. Guess what you could have got for $5 million a year?
Tyrod.
Saquon Barkley. My point I'm trying to make is, why would you not start the guy?
I mean,
that you're
could you have done that?
The highest.
I don't know how the contract thing works. Could you have done that? I'm interested. Could you have taken that $5 million and made it the extra money that Barkley wanted a year?
Sure,
I don't know.
You could have.
I don't know. It doesn't really work like that. You know how the contract.
Yeah, it's like Saquon. You get another $5 million a year on top of what we offer you.
I 100,000% agree with every single one of you about that. I don't understand why. I don't understand why they went and got him.
Well, okay,
I knew they were going to keep DeVito. They liked DeVito.
I can say, okay, we're gonna go with Drew Lock. We're gonna pay him the money, get rid of Saquon, but then you don't even go with Drew Lock, who is the highest paid backup in the league.
When they pulled,
it's Ringling Brothers.
When they pulled Daniel Jones out a couple weeks ago, they did put Lock in, and they do see him in practice every single day. Maybe he doesn't fit their offensive scheme, and he doesn't play better than DeVito.
Or they could be putting in the worst quarterback to try to tank to be the worst team in the league.
I mean,
compared to you guys,
knows that's what's going on. I mean,
but here And
compared to you guys,
here's how you
your guys'
still
opinion, they
lost.
could have just left Jones in. He wasn't winning anyway. Why?
And here's how you still lost
because of the injury clause.
Yeah, but it's not really that big of a deal.
It is a big of a deal.
They
can cut him
23.
if he doesn't get injured, and they can't cut him.
I get it,
if
but it's
he
got to
does
be
get injured. It's a
gotta
very
be a
big deal.
Injury, I know, but they ran him every week, and they ran him, and they ran.
You're right, Chris. You've been saying that all
sense.
year, and it doesn't make any sense that if they didn't want him to get hurt, they kept using him like that.
I thought they wanted him to get like a stupid injury, like maybe like like break his leg,
his injuries
break an ankle, or concussion or something. You know what I mean?
It does seem to me though that like your
the neck
team
was
is
the scary one. That's why they had the contract like that.
But it seems like in general what they're trying to do is they're trying to save as much money in salary cap space for next year. Because if they don't play Drew Lock, they have an out on his contract next year, but they have to pay him all kinds of money if he starts games.
So
here's
the Giants.
I don't think his incentive thing he was even going to meet it. Like
he could. I
think it was only a 1-year deal. I don't think it was.
I thought you were a fan of your team. How do you not know this, Chris? Because you're a fan.
If he plays
I wasn't planning on seeing Drew Lock.
He gets incentives. That's why in my opinion, that's why they're not paying him. They're trying to keep as much.
And I heard Talking Giants talk about that a little bit. I don't think he can even meet his. I don't think he can meet it. If they're like kind of like Saquon's the year before, because last year Saquon wasn't going to meet his either.
Yeah, but the interesting thing of all this is last year was the year to get the quarterback, not this coming year. This coming year, the quarterback draft is horrible.
Yeah,
awful. If you don't get Sanders or Ward, you're getting nobody.
Yeah,
and there's rumors about
you're
that.
You're rolling with DeVito again.
And I texted you guys about that. And I'm not, and like we joked about it in text messages, like you can't wait for the following year because you don't know where you're going to fall anyway. They had a good draft last year. They're banking on that. That's why they're keeping their job. They did fix the O-line, except for Thomas got hurt. So like they are doing things in the right direction. So now they're like, hey, let me get my guy now. But yeah, that's the problem. Like, what guy is it?
You need to start.
That's why I was texting Paul that. I was like, who do you draft? Like,
well, you need to start losing better because in this
I don't think they're trying to lose. I don't think they're going to try to lose.
Okay, you're not going to. You can't be delusional about that too.
Yeah, you can't.
Dude, I'm not. Listen, they did this last year, and DeVito went on a 3-game win streak.
They didn't have anybody. They didn't have anybody.
DeVito didn't get the memo.
I don't think they're going to win this week.
The guys have to play hard, but the coaches and the GM are putting the players in the best position to lose that they can. But the players have to try hard.
I'm just saying, I thought they were doing that last year, and then they won 3 games in a row. Like
exactly, like, because the players never don't try. You're never going to see a group of players go out there and be like, "We want to lose."
And then I listen to everything, and his reason is DeVito brings a spark. He brings a fire. I'm trying to bring something to ignite this.
Stop! It's all lies. He has to.
I hear you. I hear you.
Then don't regurgitate it if you know.
I hear
it's
you, but I lived it, and it does. It's
you got to make the fans happy. You got to make the fans happy,
right? Because they're not going to put people in the seats. Like I'm looking forward to watching.
Give me a bowl, call me cutlet.
I'm trying to go get another DeVito special. That was my highlight of the season last year.
Yeah,
I hope they're making them on Sunday.
But here's the thing.
Let's backtrack for a second.
Let me continue my digs.
All right, let's get back to your digs.
Get back to the digs first.
All right. So on the bye week, you still somehow found a way to lose. You're not even good at that. You went from the number 2 pick to now the 5th pick. Like you suck at everything. Like it's unbelievable. So we didn't
play to lose.
Sure. Your coaches did. Your coach and your GM did.
We didn't play.
So let us not
lose this week and get back on track.
And let's call it's not the Daniel Jones era. It's the Daniel Jones error. ERROR, not ERA. So do you know who the 6th, the 7th pick in the 2019 draft was? Josh Allen. Just letting you know.
What's that?
They didn't want him.
Yeah, you had the 6th pick and you took Daniel Jones. Number 7 was Josh Allen.
I told you that. I said they took the year Josh Allen came out, Saquon Barkley came out. We took him second overall. The year before. Yeah, you're wrong.
The following year they drafted DJ.
No.
Did he dig?
Either way,
you got correct.
Either way, the Giants have won 5 games by 14 points since drafting Daniel Jones. Bo Nix has done it 3 times this year in his rookie season. And it's Bo Nix, by the way.
What did I say about Bo Nix?
I'm now a Bo Nix.
Randy said he was the next Drew Brees.
Randy did.
I need to apologize. Bo Nix may be legit.
The next Drew Brees?
Bo. I don't know about the next Drew
I don't know
Brees,
about
but
that. He's the first.
I will
he's
be
the first
Bo.
Bo
I
Nix,
will
maybe.
be Bo's surrogate. You can apologize to me as a surrogate for Bo.
And the last and most important dig, the Dallas Cowboys are the only team in all four major sports to not have a home win in 2024.
Wow.
Every 31, 32, 29, however many other teams in every other league, everybody has a home win in 2024.
So, like earlier,
Except for the
pretty much you
Cowboys.
just suck, Randy.
I don't disagree one bit.
All right.
he's rocking that Dallas shirt tonight, though. I like it.
I'm proud of
Randy,
you.
Pride.
speaking of being at home, I know you're not home right now. Where are you this month or this week? Or
Lovely, sunny Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Again.
Well, at least
Again.
you're getting good weather, hopefully.
Hey, it looks good this weekend. There's a hurricane rolling through tomorrow, but
And that's
Well,
why you
I
were
was-
there, right?
I
Because the
was-
last time you were there was a hurricane and it blew
that's
the
not
panels
why
off
I'm there.
and
It just seems to come here every time I'm here.
We
I
thought
was
you were
just
just putting them
about
back up.
I was just
It's-
about to point out how easy it is to do this from anywhere. I mean, you're always traveling, and
Yeah, last
You know,
year I was all over
I'm in-
Wisconsin and the West, and yeah, it is. It really is. I just take this headphones with me and my phone. It's very simple.
as long as you have a phone, an iPad, and a laptop,
Mm-hmm.
part of it.
A phone or an iPad or a laptop. All I'm using is my phone.
Any of the above.
Any.
Mm-hmm.
So, did you get to see the game last night?
So no, I went to bed. I had to be up at 2, and I was fighting
Yeah, I know
the
you-
cold.
Yep.
I actually didn't watch a single snap, and I'm not sad.
unhappy
I missed
about it.
at all. I mean, again, it's crazy. Every aspect of the game, we have gone from good to just awful. Even my defensive statement last week is absolutely not true. I will say, injuries are all over the place right now. Ferguson out with a concussion. The Zach Martin
Oh,
went out in the second quarter. The third, the left guard, the rookie left
Now
guard.
you sound
I
like
mean,
Chris.
it is.
At least he's not trying to
unbelievable.
put the positive spin about how they had a great second series of the second.
Hey, he played
half.
pretty good in the second half. Yeah,
I mean, it's
I
common
feel
sense.
bad. I was
Injuries
going
are
to
going to
give him
hurt you,
hell
Greg.
about.
You should know. I mean, Embiid never plays. I mean,
what'd you say, Mike?
I was going to give you hell about picking Ferguson for most catches and saying they were going to dink and dunk to him all day. But now that I know he got a concussion, I feel bad.
I mean, it's been again, injuries have been bad, but there's more to it. Like the way Dallas lost some important games last year showed a weakness that you don't see in like a Kansas City, or as you guys love to say, Kansas, or
that's what you like to say.
or even in general with the Eagles. When you guys are rolling, you guys beat everybody. It's just you guys have a funk sometimes you get into, but Dallas just cannot seem to escape really clutch wins that they need. They just cannot seem to get them at all.
It
And
must
I
be
think-
some of the leadership from their best players like CD Lamb and Trayvon Diggs taking that big L by going right to the club and just hanging out till 2 a.m.
Now, I think again you got a coaching issue, but I also think it comes down to I want to say
Dion would never let that happen.
This is like a
Coach
really
Prime.
controversial thing to say, but like your kind of your mental state of your quarterback, and I kind of feel like Dak has, he's been in a hot, cold, hit and miss sometimes, and I feel like I don't know. I just feel like some of the more stable quarterbacks, like a kicker, you try a kicker goes in and he can be the best
Even
kicker
he
in the
missed.
world, and then you have him come play another, miss a field goal, and all of a sudden he's messed up in the head. I feel like that's Dak.
Jerry put some new field down after the boxing match. They put a whole new field down and made it a little slippery.
But I would say the two bright sides to the whole thing is, yes, CeeDee Lamb had 8 catches. He actually looked back to sort of his old form with Cooper Rush, who had 45 total yards last week against the Eagles. There's the first one. The second one is Aubrey is the only kicker in the NFL ever in history to kick 10 field goals in 2 consecutive years, over 50 yards, which is a pretty cool stat. I think that's some, we got bright spots. I mean, one of your bright spots.
You're missing one.
What's that?
You're missing a bright spot.
What's that?
Your boy had 4 targets. Mingo.
Yeah, how many catches,
Hey,
Greg? How many
hey
catches
now.
on those 4 targets? I
0
even went a little
catches.
bit deeper. He
We'll
was
get
in there
him.
for 24 offensive snaps. That's a healthy number.
It's going
for
to keep
week
getting
2.
better. Keep getting better. I hope to see Trey Lance. I mean, we traded for him for a reason. I'd love to see what he does. I don't know.
Played fine.
Not really. I mean, he had one touchdown pass. His completion percentages weren't that great. I mean, he was sacked 5 times. The offensive line played horrible, but no, I don't think he played fine.
He threw the ball 55
times.
times.
I know. It
That's
was
horrible.
Again, that's what you do when you play from behind. But again, I'm not happy I missed the game. I did watch most of your guys' game. That was a pretty good game all the way to the end.
It was a good game.
You know, that could have gone
The end was spectacular.
both ways very quickly, even in the fourth quarter.
Greg.
Shut up, Chris. Don't make comments about teams that are good.
Chris, and again, I think that whole thing we were talking about, I just want to jump back because we always end up talking about the Giants, and I'm going to give it to you after I'm done saying this.
We didn't play last week.
I know. I'm talking about your future. It's like
I'm sure you still got something to say this week, Chris. No?
I'm good.
Okay.
All right.
We'll see.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Well, I mean, I do want to ask one question because, again, like, you know, we talked about last week, you have a lot of pieces, but like right now, you're a GM. What are you doing for quarterback next year?
I mean, I think they're for what I know and what I followed, I think they're going to draft a quarterback. But like we've been arguing and talking about, you got to fall in the right position. I mean, maybe they're going to trade. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. I see rumors we might draft the receiver from Colorado and not draft a quarterback.
But who's going to throw to him?
Or we might take a quarterback in a different round. I mean, I'm sure they can find a quarterback that they like.
I think Travis Hunter could probably throw to himself, to be honest. Just let him do that.
You imagine having Travis Hunter and Neighbors and then maybe trade for a good quarterback, a bridge quarterback? Like, I don't know. Like, maybe we get Matt Stafford next year. I heard rumors that Burrow wants out of Cincinnati, and we might.
After this week, I'm not completely doubting that.
And it's nothing. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but I listened to a lot of New York stuff last year on the basketball pod. At the end of the basketball pod, I mentioned that we might remember this. I don't know, but I mentioned there was some rumors we might trade for Cat, and we did. And the same people are now saying we might be trading for Burrow in the offseason.
Let me ask you this, Chris.
That might be something we do. I don't know.
If it was your decision, would you try and build off of Daniel Jones for one more year?
No, they just benched him. He'll never play for us again.
If you were the GM, would you try?
No, I think if I was the GM, I would have taken things into action to make things better for him when he was there.
So you're cured.
I'm not cured. It's time for him to move on.
You're cured from your DJ disease you've had all.
And I know when I said it.
Years.
No, because he thinks he can succeed elsewhere.
I still think he can.
See?
Yeah, but
hey, you know what, Bobby?
He wouldn't start. He's cured. He's cured.
I want to tell Greg this. I heard Bobby. They asked where they think he's going to go next year, and some people think he might start for the Raiders. Some people said he might back up the dude from Minnesota. And then some people say he might go to the Eagles and back up Ertz and play with Saquon. But halfway through the season, your fans are going to be calling for him to take over Ertz. I would love to see that next year. That would be amazing.
I'm just
curious. I would love to see that next year.
How much non-Giant stuff do you listen to? Do you hear any of the people saying that he'll never be good?
No, I heard a lot say that, but
there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people saying that, Chris. Like
a lot of people say it, Mike, but a lot of it is a narrative because they don't think he should have went 6th overall.
Narrative.
It's a narrative. I still think he can be okay. I mean, I could tell you, we could go on for hours, and I can.
Can you name me one other Duke?
No, it's not.
Name another Duke quarterback that has been successful in the league.
There hasn't. We had one before. I think Dave Brown played for Duke. I think we had one before.
Yeah, who? Exactly.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is
a
lot of things happen over the course of Daniel Jones's tenure that I think, and he didn't help himself at all this year. I think he needs a change of pace. And yes, I do think he can go to another team and be successful. Okay. I do. I would love to see him go to Philly. I would just for the podcast, I would love to see it. I would love to see it.
I'd like to see him go to Washington.
What? I would love to see him go to a team that has a really good foundation, starting offensive line, some playmakers, like so maybe behind CJ Stroud, and then him get hurt and have him step in and have like a functional unit around him. I think Daniel Jones could do fine.
Newsflash: CJ Stroud is the second most sacked quarterback in the league. So
I'm just saying, like I'm just giving that example. He could go behind Hurts. He could go behind Dak next year.
No, please no.
But
Chris, you didn't have a game this week, and a lot of the Giants stuff kind of came up naturally here. You got anything else for us before we go to halftime?
I'm good. I still don't know how I feel about the Eagles. I still don't know how I feel about Washington.
Hold on. Now, you don't know how you feel about the Eagles. Let's back up for a second because I had this written down. Greg, you'll appreciate this. You said,
Thanks,
Chris,
Mike.
after this week, if we win, are you going to say the defense is okay, the Eagles are okay?
He did already.
I did it already.
Okay. Well,
you
then
said
now
defense, not team.
you just said you don't know about the Eagles.
Well,
So
I still got to
jumped
see
in
them
there.
do it against somebody like I said in the text group. You see what the Lions did to the Jaguars. I feel like a real contender can go out and do that. You almost choked and blew it away, dude. I mean,
and
you beat a team that still hasn't beat a team that was over 500 this year.
You are still trying to not give us praise.
I gave your secondary a lot of praise.
Yeah, but you still think that we're like not a top 5 team in the NFC, which blows my mind.
I'm not even going to say that. I just don't think you're not somebody in my brain. Like you're not going to win a Super Bowl this year. You're not one of them teams.
I'm not saying we're going to win a Super Bowl, but part of it is getting to the playoffs to get an opportunity to play to get
and
that.
we're not there,
we're the
and
number
you 100% got
right
it.
now.
You 100% got that.
Speaking of just like crazy teams that are playing crazy good right now, did you guys see the ending of that Bears Green Bay game?
That was crazy.
That seems like some dumb non-NFC East shit. Let's
you don't want to
take
talk
a
about
break,
the ending of the game?
Dude,
and we'll be back here shortly to look at the second half. We're big on time. Shut up.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening. Just a few quick reminders for everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Michael Jordan is the GOAT. And check out our fellow podcaster, Jim Montgomery, with This Day in Philly Sports History. Thank you.
We are back from the brief and completely unnecessary NFC North talk. This is the NFC East podcast, and we are going to start looking forward to Week 12. We got 3 games on the slate here this week, I believe. Because there's one interdivision matchup. Let's lead off with that. We got Dallas going to Washington. I got Washington favored by a big 10.5. Boy, that's a lot of points, Paul. We got Philly going out to LA to play the Rams, not the Chargers, but the Rams. The Rams are catching 2.5 points in that game. Philadelphia Eagles are favored by a little bit. And the Giants are at home against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is
2.5
minus 5.5. Giants are plus 5.5 there. I thought that line would have been a little bit bigger, Topher. I think Vegas maybe believes in your DeVito guy a little bit. We shall see.
Forget about it.
I think it's the weather.
That is our 3 matchups for the week. Let's spin this wheel a couple times and see if we can get 3 new categories for the internal competition.
I think we do QBR again.
No.
I think that should be a long-standing one. That should be like the all-time.
Every week.
Yeah, QBR, just so we can try and figure out
spreads.
how it works.
We're going most points, and that is, I believe we're doing team on that, even though it says single player.
All right.
Well, I ain't winning that one.
What? We're going team. Brian Aubrey would beat that.
It would be a kicker category. Touchdowns, any single player. One of my favorite ones because it is not easy to get more than 1 touchdown. But the last couple times we had this category, we did get multiple touchdowns. I don't remember who it was. Was it Saquon, maybe?
I think it was CD and Jalen, was it?
That might be right.
Yeah. Tush push.
Receiving yards total.
Okay.
All right. So we got, let me write those down. So we had receiving yards, we had team, we had total points. And what was the third one?
Receiving yards.
TD.
Touchdowns, any single player, most points.
That's what it was. Touchdown, single player.
Chris, I got to tell you, I'm not sure you're going to win and get any points this week.
Hey,
I'm
Paul,
gonna try to figure out one.
Jumped on that horse last week about the Cowboys, if I remember, Paul, when you stood on a hill, shouted that there was no chance the Cowboys were going to get a point. I think Randy got 2 last week, right, Randy?
We did outscore Paul. I know that.
Yeah, so internal competition-wise, your picks ain't been going that great. Why don't you lead us off anyway?
That hurts.
Awesome.
I got a pick right last week. My bonus pick.
Hey, hold on. Actually, before we get to your picks, no waffling. I went back.
No
Come
waffle.
on. The name of the episode last week was No Waffling. I said I was going to crack down. I went back, as I always do. I watched the
waffled?
episode.
Not me.
Everybody except for you, Chris.
Again.
I don't
See,
think
guys,
Paul
I don't
picked
waffle.
the QBR. Greg picked Cooper Rush, but I'm not sure that was real or if he was kidding.
Guys
He
really need to
also
start
was
listening
like
to me.
McLaurin, but then Devontae Smith. And I'm taking my guy, but didn't take Hurts for QBR. So that was a lot of waffling there on Greg's part.
Because you don't really
And,
believe in Hurts deep down inside.
For
There it is.
That's not
QBR,
true.
Randy
That's
went
what it
with
is.
not Dallas and then went on some rant
I don't
about
blame
the
him.
Sun. So the only person who even picked QBR at all last week was Chris. Thank you. Let's try not to
You
waffle
know how
on
I
our
feel about
picks
the
this
QBR,
week.
though.
Yeah,
You know
I
how
know.
I feel
I
about
don't
the
like
I
it
know.
either, but
You've been stung.
I was. I almost got bit again last week.
Been kissed by the sun.
Go ahead,
Oh,
Paul.
jeez.
Get in there.
Chris, stop saying about the waffles because every time you say a waffle, if you look at
Randy?
it in your face, it says "I love you" when you freaking say it. Yeah.
Okay.
See.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
I do
You're
love
right.
you, buddy. I do
Yeah.
love you,
You're right.
buddy. I waffle you, Paul.
Yeah. I
Jesus.
no. Yeah.
I
Emphatically
waffle
decline.
you.
So
Read
as
my
far
lips.
yeah. So okay. So I'll go through the competition categories
All right.
first. So touchdowns, any single player. I mean, I think Jaden could get that. I guess that's, but we do if it's a quarterback, it's they have to be
No
running.
waffles.
They have to be rushing,
Yes.
don't they?
That's what we
Gotta be
always
running.
said, yeah. Because you said the guy that catches it gets the credit for the touchdown. Which is crazy because in fantasy, they both do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but the quarterback would always win it if it's any single player.
You're right. He
Then
would
I-
always. Yeah.
Then I
You're
think,
right.
yeah, the most touchdowns I think is going to be Saquon. Is who
Which
I
is the
would
most
pick,
logical one to pick. Yep.
unless he gets vultured by his own quarterback. I mean, those are the two picks. But I would say no. I'm going.
He
I
could
mean, I'm
always
going-
get hurt in the first quarter.
Oh my God!
We can
Well,
hope, can't
according
we?
to Chris,
I
they
always
suck,
like hope
so,
and death.
Yeah.
Because they're
That
about
was-
what I wish
that
on
was-
Saquon these days.
And
Wow.
I already forgot the other two
Like I
categories
feel
about
besides
Dak.
most touchdowns. What else we got?
Reception yards for the team.
Reception yards for the team. I think Redskins can get that one this week. I think
You
we can do
think,
that.
or don't waffle.
I'm
And
not-
most points.
Don't
Most
waffle,
points?
buddy.
I think we got that too. I'm going most
Lock it
points
up.
for us as well. Yeah.
Lock it up.
Wow.
But as far as the games, I'll start with the Giants game. I always, I'm not a bettor, and these lines are always weird to me. But 5.5 to me does look a little bit low. I don't know why that's not closer to a touchdown.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if what Vegas knows.
It's at the Vito Spark. It's them cutlets, baby.
You can be happy all you want, but I
I'm
swear,
happy.
if you win,
I would have been pissed if it
you're
was
dropping
wrong.
another 2 spots in the draft, and you can't do anything next year. Just letting you know.
Like I said, it ain't a good quarterback draft. Maybe we'll find him somewhere else in the draft, or maybe we'll trade. Look, dude,
You got an
waffle.
awesome
that's
GM,
where
dude.
I'm not waffling. I have no choice. So
I'm
is where
talking
I-
to Steve.
oh, all right. This is where I'm like, hey, I'm gonna let the cards fall where they fall. If they win, they win. If they don't, then it helps me that way. So I'm going to the game. I'm gonna cheer for DeVito. Sorry, Paul. Go
There
ahead.
you go.
I
I'll
think
waffle you.
I think the Eagles are going to beat the Rams. I think it's going to be a close game. The Rams are healthy.
They're playing good too. Puka
And I
Nacuma's
told Greg
back,
that
Cooper
in the
Kupp's
text
back.
message the other day.
Kyron Williams looks pretty darn good. I mean,
Mhm.
it's the same to me. Those kind of same 4 players, the 2 receivers and that running back and quarterback is very similar to me on paper
We'll find out they're good.
of what you have, with the Eagles. So I mean, that's one of those other teams where those 2 receivers, the running back and the quarterback. If somebody were to hand me those on my team, I'd probably say okay. Matt Stafford's getting up there a little bit, but it's had a resurgence. That trade with Detroit was a resurgence for both those guys.
That's crazy.
DJ will back him up next year.
Stop. No, DJ will.
He gotta go somewhere.
You're right. It's going to be
No.
to freaking Kroger.
Toronto
He's going to Kroger.
Argonauts.
He will be on a
Argonauts.
roster next
CFO.
year.
Toronto Argonauts.
I keep hearing the Raiders. I can't wait to mess with Corey about that if he goes to the Raiders. But go ahead.
That'd be a very Raider thing to do after you had Garoppolo and then going to little Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. Oh, awful. So yeah, DJ's going to be that next one in that commercial, the backups commercial that's got. Now they have Jacoby Brissett in it, but they had Dobbs and whoever the other guy was, Case Keenum. DJ is going to be perfect for that. Perfect. That's where I see him. In 5 years, where do I see him?
The backup's always better than the starter, so maybe he should go to Philly.
Okay, no, that's never the case.
Yeah.
That's no.
There's that
No.
dumb stuff.
Yeah, no, a little early for that. No, but I think that Eagles-Rams game is going to be a good game, so I'm actually glad that one's on at prime time. Our game, I really don't think that's good. I think that spread is, which is astronomical in my view. I think that's pretty accurate. I think it's going to be pretty similar to what we just saw on Monday. I see somebody's writing that down right now. I think it's going to be pretty similar to what we saw last night. I think it's not going to be close in any facet. The way that our defense is playing, I think it'll be just fine to. All you got to do is contain CeeDee Lamb, and if the other ones beat you, so be it. But they're not going to do but so much. And I would love for Cooper Rush to throw 55 times. I think that would be excellent. I beg for that to happen.
It might bring Trey Lance in though.
But yeah, I did take 2 Redskins this time, or 2 of the categories for Redskins. I don't want to waffle, but I am a little apprehensive because I don't want to go with RG3 number 2. I already took this nice Mitchell and Ness hat, and
hey, that's a really awesome hat, Paul. I like it.
I agree.
Ruined his favorite hat by tagging
that
RG3's signature on there.
Oh, yeah, and that's why it goes in the cabinet. It's not on display, so I'm gonna wear it.
You don't even display it. You put it away. That's
absolutely.
Terrible.
What am I supposed to say? Look at this cool thing I got. Same thing with my Carson Wentz autograph poster from when we met him last year. That's not going up anywhere. That's folded up. Of like, anybody want to see some dumb shit? Look at this. So,
well, that's fair.
So it's the same thing. But I'm going to wear this out of respect, so that for Jaden Daniels, I'm giving him every chance he can. Again, I'm still walking on pins and needles. Coming from RG3 and then getting a guy that doesn't know how to slide, that likes to run and has taken a lot of hits in college. That's a recipe for my disaster, to set us back like 30 more years.
Can I interrupt for a second? Remember how we were talking
Since you asked.
Yeah, well, listen, it's a good point, though. Mike, remember how you said, I can't believe, all these athletes, nobody can kick a football? Caleb Williams slides really well. How come the athlete that Daniels is, why can't he slide? It just baffles me that his slide is that terrible. He's an amazing athlete.
If you look at him when he tried the first time, you were like, that looks like that hurt. Because that's
I know. That's what I'm saying. Really, the athlete you can't slide. Come on, man. Bring in somebody from the Nationals and teach him how to slide.
I was just going to say that baseball player. Bring the baseball player.
Do something. You gotta, you're mad about RG3, but you guys hurt him. Help this guy, man. He's a good quarterback. I don't know. Frustrates.
Speaking of good quarterbacks, why don't we move over to Chris?
Hey,
what's going down with DeVito this week?
Hey, they jump lock. They're putting DeVito in. I'm all for it. They're saying it's for the excitement. I'm happy about it. I think Drew Lock sucks. I don't think he's that good. You guys laugh and say, "Oh, he's
backup."
I mean, they did the same thing with Tyrod. They paid him a lot of money to be a backup. I don't know why they did it, and they kept
got a great GM. That's why.
I don't know. He had a good draft. He fixed the line. I think we're heading in the right direction. My only flaw about last year,
you're so far in the crapper.
The thing I hate the most about last year, like you get on me about Saquon and everything. What pisses me off, I really wish we would have kept McKinney, man. We got a young secondary. He's leading the NFL in interceptions. I really like McKinney. I like Drew
running from the clown show.
But I really wish we would have kept him, man. I wish that was somebody they would have saved that $5
Maybe he didn't want to stay. Maybe he knows how bad your franchise is and is running away.
He wanted to stay. They just didn't want to give him the money. They were mad at him for the ATV accident. No, I follow everything. The ATV accident when he was on the bye week a couple years ago and he shattered his hand. They were mad at him.
I do remember that.
Yeah, so it's always something like that. It's always, and then he didn't like the way they treated him after that. So
Chris, I was listening to a guy talking today, and he was saying if you're a free agent or a player that's about out of your contract in New York, why right now? Why would you go to a team that, as Greg says, is almost a circus show with the Danny DeVito team?
What else did Stink say? What else did Stink say, Randy?
Stink?
That's what you're talking about. Mark Schlereth. Stink.
I honestly did. I was just flipping through TikTok. So I'm just curious. I'm just curious.
The Giants are in position. The Giants are in position. Mike says it all the time. He said it like you got to have 11 or 12 bang players. Like we probably have about 5 or 6. We don't have a lot of those. I think he had a good draft last year. I think he did fix the line. The line played a lot better the first couple of weeks until Andrew Thomas got hurt. It is exciting. It is exciting when you're going to draft a quarterback. Like we do got some talent. We got neighbors. I mean, the coach, people do like the coach. They like playing for him. There is some things to go for. The defense can be good. I think the defense can be good if the offense can stay on the field. So
I remember when we had to hear Andrew Thomas's name every single week multiple times, and we've kind of had a little bit of break this year with all this, with the breakout season that DJ's had. I feel like next year Andrew Thomas is going to anchor your conversation on numerous occasions.
He's going to enter my conversation?
No, anchor your conversations. I
hope I'm not talking about him because that means he's playing well. You don't really have to talk about offensive linemen if they're playing well.
I've never talked about an O-lineman in my life. Before this podcast, I'm not even sure I knew all of the offensive line.
If you bring an O-lineman up, usually they're bad. I mean, that's honestly the truth. But
that
was a bright spot for me.
You bring it up all the time because PFF has this rate.
Well, he's a good offensive lineman. He's a really good.
PFF has that.
He's a really good left tackle. And they have a good EPCIA, SPCL.
It's not awful.
EPA, fellas. EPA.
I'm glad they did what I was hoping they would do and move Illuminar over. But yeah, let me get through these picks real quick. So for the game, you guys got me on a roll, and I didn't have a lot to say in the first half.
It's not a roll.
I'm looking forward to the game, Paul. I'm looking forward to see DeVito play. I'm going, so I'll be there. All right. Where do I want to start? For the games, I don't know why the spread's 5.5. I'm not a betting guy. I don't even know if I want to win. But
are you going to overpay for that sandwich again? I don't mean to interrupt.
That's the waffle, Mike. I don't really. I have to waffle there because I'm going to the game. I'm going to the game and I want to win because I'm going. And it sucks to watch your team lose, but we're probably better off losing to get a better draft pick.
Get a good meal while you're there. It'll make you feel better.
Get a what?
Get a good meal.
You need to find Cutlets family. They're doing their tailgates, throwing like chicken cutlets out to everybody.
I keep thinking about doing that, but I do what I do. I ain't running over there. I'm too old for that nonsense. So I'm a Giants fan. I'm loyal. I'm gonna cheer for DeVito. I'm gonna cheer for DeVito. I'm gonna say Giants are gonna win. Giants are gonna win. They're not gonna. That means they'll cover. They're gonna win.
Yeah, it does.
Dallas and Washington. I agree with Paul. I think Washington's going to wipe the floor with them, especially after losing last week. I think they'll cover. And because of that, Washington will probably score the most points. So I'm going to have them win that competition. So now I got the Washington game, the Giants game. I'm gonna pick against the Birds. And Greg's going to say it's because I'm a hater. It's just because.
That's fine. You're allowed to hate.
I do need to see it. I need to see it. I think you got a couple tough games left. You got the Rams game. You got
6 straight weeks.
Hold on. But who'd you play, man? Let's be real. And
You're right. Nobody.
You said last week Washington would count now.
Well, Washington's good, but they're still they got some things to prove themselves, and they do got a young quarterback, and they got to work.
Sounds like some waffling.
It's a week-to-week league, Mike. He's got to learn too. So by the playoff time and they meet again, I'm probably still going to pick Washington if they play the Birds in the playoffs. So I'm going to say the Rams. Rams will win the game. I'm going to take the Giants. I'm going to take Tracy with the 2 touchdowns. I feel like he's a good back. I feel like DeVito's going to have to lean on him a little bit. We'll get down in the red zone. We'll hand the ball off to Tracy. So Washington will get the most points.
I think that's a good pick, by the way, on Tracy. I forgot about him.
Yeah.
Tracy will get the touchdowns and team total. What was that again?
Total points.
Oh, no, receivers. So this is a tough one for me, man. Receiving yards. It's not a tough one. I do know the Eagles have a good.
This is a tough one. It's not a tough one.
It's not because Dallas are going to give up the most points. So I'm going to say Washington's going to win that too. Because if they're going to score a lot of points, they're going to have to be throwing the ball and stuff. And I think their receivers will get a lot of catches. So Eagles don't get a point this week, man.
Great, the Chris curse.
You were going to say something about
I wanted to say they got a good receiving core. I mean, they got Smitty, they got Brown, they got Barkley.
Why are we talking about that? Everyone knows that. Why are you just like why?
Because he wants to pick him, but he can't. That's fine. He can't.
Because I'm on the fence with Hurts. I think he's overrated. So and I like Daniels. And I think they're going to score the most points this week. So yeah, Washington's going to win that category too. That's my picks.
What do you think, Randy? You going to defend your team, or you riding with everybody that says Washington's going to score the most points?
You know, like last year, do you guys remember when Denver and Chicago were by far the worst two teams in the league, and they ended up half decent by the end of it? And this year, Carolina started out. I mean, they're still horrible, but I'm just hoping that there's a turnaround. So we're gonna keep picking my boys. Most points. I'm gonna say. I thought about this.
I'm proud of you for being positive.
Washington's secondary is not that good. I think there's a chance that we could put up some points on Washington, but I think we're going to lose. So I don't think we're going to get the most points.
I was really hoping you were going to say, because of their defense, I think we lose but get the most points. I was waiting for that.
I want to rebuttal just a little bit. So they got Jalen Hurts, Smitty, Brown, and they put up 26, and it was mostly Barkley that dominated the game for them. So you think Cooper Rush and Lamb and Mingo can do a better job against their defense?
I appreciate you, Chris, for advocating for all the fans out there.
I do.
I'm curious. I'm glad that you're just proving to everybody that's listening that anybody can do this. You can come on and say whatever you want, and there'll be a platform for you.
I am or Randy is.
Who do you think?
Say whatever from wherever.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I'm being optimistic.
Randy, right?
Yes, Chris, it's Randy. Do you really need the cue? Do you need that?
No, I want you to say it because that's ridiculous. I mean, like they struggled, but you think Cooper, Mingo, and Lamb?
I think there's a chance that they put up more points than the Eagles did. But I don't think we're going to win. So that's
there was waffling all in that voice.
No, listen. Sure, I got a waffle
in his mouth.
I might have just ate some waffles, but listen.
What is that?
The thing is, Washington, I think, wins the game, so they're going to win most points just off of that alone. TD's any single player. We're going to stay on the Dallas bandwagon and say CD Lamb. He had one this week with my boy Cooper Rush throwing. I think that he could have two this week, and that might be enough to win.
Lose 44-14, but Lamb's going to have two touchdowns.
44-21. 44-21.
All right.
Receiving yards, any team. I actually think this one Dallas could actually logically get. Your secondary is not that good. Dallas is going to be throwing the ball all day. You guys can run the ball. I think that the Rams have a pretty good secondary.
He's getting 2 points out
of this. I don't think Cutlets can throw the ball for more than 100 yards. So my opinion is that Dallas actually gets the receiving yards, and that's actually not just being optimistic. I think that's actually fairly likely. The picks of the games, I think the Eagles are going to beat the Rams. I think that the Giants, I don't know. I just don't trust Cutlets. Like I think I trust DJ more than Cutlets. That's saying a lot. Like I don't trust DJ at all. But I don't think with Cutlets,
DJ don't trust himself right now, dude. He played against one of the worst defenses in the NFL, and he could not.
Like, so your coaches are counting on him to lose the game for them. So I'm just telling you that.
Yeah, I have to think.
I think Mike was trying to say we were leaving DJ in to lose, and that was our best off. That's what I thought Mike was trying to say all along.
Yeah,
like
I have to think.
Right now, he's saying it's now Cutlets, but
because now you're trying to save that money. You don't want to.
It's more important to not only lose games but not pay Daniel Jones. My stance
you don't think these guys got to win a couple games to save their job at all? Like they only have 2 wins. Like if you go 4
my
and
guess
whatever,
is they were told.
I mean, you were the one saying it, Chris. You were the one saying that
they did say they were safe. They did say they were safe, and
I would absolutely advocate for your coach and GM to come back next year.
I would love it.
I would sign that petition.
I think they're 100% coming back next year, unless there is a twist. Unless there's a twist where we do take Sanders and Dion, but I don't see that in New York.
I feel like, Chris, you live in the Truman Show, where there's nothing outside of New York media to you that's available. We see everything, but you just never get to branch out outside of this little city.
Pay attention to my team. And what's that have to do with me saying about like Dable's not? I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't.
He's a good coach.
We're all advocating for him.
Okay.
2-7 next year.
Finishing my picks, I'm gonna take Washington not to cover the spread, but win, and I'm gonna take Tampa. I have one more prediction for next year. A bold prediction. Mark my words.
Dallas are going to win a Super Bowl.
DJ is going to be in New York next year.
The Jets.
But on the other side, of the locker room.
That
As a
actually,
Jet.
I could see that with that debacle. Over
Aaron
there,
Rodgers is in trouble. I think it's an interconference trade or a different conference. I think
it's not going to be a trade, is it?
I don't know. I don't know. But it just seems like a really, really good fit.
It'd be huge to trade
for him to back up Aaron
You're not
Rodgers.
getting anything for him.
That's what I just said. Like
whatever. I think for him to back up Aaron Rodgers as a Jet, that's my bold prediction.
Paul, you find all them crazy stats and stuff. Did you see the stat that Wilson and Darnold they have more wins and better percentage with them than they do with Aaron? Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, Zach Wilson is so much better than Darnold and Aaron Rodgers was
as a Jet.
All they needed was Zach Wilson. That's all they needed to find was Zach Wilson. Yeah, but it was dumb because.
All right, let's keep it rolling. Let's get it down to Greg and get some more picks in here.
Speaking of dumb, our friend Chris thinks that Brian Dable is a good coach.
A lot of people
do. And my coach is horrible, apparently. So Chris,
you said
pointing out
your coach is horrible
17, 21, and 17, 26, and 1. How's that record sound? Pretty good, right? Probably, I think one of the worst losing percentages in the NFL for coaches. And then you have the other side of the coin, just down 95, where our boy Nick is 42-19.
They got all this, everything perfect. Yeah, they still can't win a Super Bowl.
Listen, we're in the playoffs. We're in the conversation.
Hey,
that's
more than what
we can say about you.
Well, you should be content with that. That's all you really know your whole life, except for that one.
Oh yeah. Let's go and talk about these points.
The truth of the matter is, till you win some, it don't mean none.
Yeah.
And I made bad decisions as he made that maybe put you in the decision. That might be why you're in the position where he isn't winning with all this talent.
He's still winning, Chris.
Not the big game, buddy.
You're 2-8. So there you go.
And we're all going to be 0-0 with no Super Bowl next year, buddy.
Okay. Well, we're going to have a chance and you won't. So that's the best part about this whole thing. I love it. Most points.
That's how I feel in the basketball pod.
Well, good thing this is an NFC East pod.
Yeah, let Chris
talk about that.
I'll text you.
You got to let Greg get his picks out here.
Oh, I'm still going to text him.
You can text me all you want.
Still going to text him.
Most points. I am going to rock with the birds on this. The over-under is 50. So I'm thinking it's going to be, I think we're going to score in the 30s. I think we're going to cover. So that kind of goes with that hand in hand. TD player, I think this is, again, a Barkley week. I think we feel bad that we're getting it down to the 1 and doing some tush pushes. We all see it happening week after week after week, and no one can stop it. So I think Barkley's going to get his glory this week out in LA. So I'm going to go with him with TD players. And I am
no more butt stuff, huh? More butt stuff?
No more butt stuff. No, we're going to save the tush push for another day. I am going to go with the Cowboys for receiving yards.
Oh, I thought you were going to sweep the week.
No, I think my picks will sweep the week, but I think Cooper Rush is going to have to throw the ball a lot to stay in that game. And when they're not in the game, they're going to have to throw the ball to try to be content. The guy damn near threw for almost 500 yards last week, 55 times. So I'm going to pick them for receiving yards as team total. Again, going to take the Birds -3 out in LA. I am going to take Washington -10.5 at home against the Cowboys. And I am going to take the Bucks laying 5.5 at New York. That's kind of how I see it happening this week. So
that game's at New York.
Yeah.
That kind of explains the spread then.
Why? Mike said they don't give you 3 no more for that, right, Mike?
Not most of the time, no.
And it's not really an advantage for us to play at home.
Not for us. We
always play better on the road.
Yeah, hey, I was going to specifically ask you for something kind of dumb shit because Greg's usually not the dumb shit type of guy, but I think that might have been it.
Wait a minute. I got some dumb shit for you, Mike. I wanted to bring this up. We've been talking a little bit about, since Chris is talking about
for 3 minutes.
The NBA stuff, we'll talk a little baseball here. I didn't know this, and I know it's not something that you want to kind of admit or come out with. I didn't realize how bad Steve Cohen was of a scumbag. What's up with that? Paying $1.8 billion to get out of a lawsuit?
Who
With
cares?
his money market schemes? I'm
So I
just
have
saying,
to
the
do it.
owners of the Mets.
Who cares?
We're talking
I
about
have-
dumb stuff.
No idea what you're talking about.
You don't know the fact that the owner of the Mets was caught up in a money market scheme and paid $1.8 billion to get out of it 4 years ago?
1.8 billion?
Yeah. That's what Mike always talks about, the dumb money he's got thrown around.
The former owner of the Mets, the Wilpon family,
Yeah, I
got
was about
caught
to
up
say,
in the Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme.
Yeah,
They were
I
like
they were-
know that.
buddies.
Yeah, but
So
if you're
just runs in the New York family.
if you're paying listen, if you're paying 1.8 billion, that means that you were benefiting from the scheme. That means you're paying out.
He paid $1.8 billion to get out of the lawsuit.
Yes,
Right,
yes,
but he
it's a
made
lawsuit.
so much money that
it's a lawsuit
That means
for
he
people that
probably
lost
made
money.
$100 billion off of whatever he
All
paid the
I didn't know
1.8 for.
that.
He's
I
going to
found
be
that
fine.
You
I
don't
thought that
pay-
was an
you don't
interesting stat today.
Pay 1.8 billion because you were scammed. You pay 1.8 billion because people are suing you because you scammed them, which makes it even
that's
more
what
of a
I'm saying.
dirtball
Yeah.
than anything.
Well,
But it
because
makes
of
sense
that,
that
you
he
can
owns
get
the Mets,
soda.
though.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
Who
your
cares?
fake news is not going to prevent us from getting Soto. So
Yes, it is. I am determined.
let's get out of here. When we start off next week, we'll be talking about the NFC East again, hopefully. Not the NFC North, not the MLB,
NBA pod.
not the New York Knicks.
Hey,
we're gonna
game
be
win
a-
streak, baby.
I mean,
Oh, did you
Mike,
watch the game last night?
We are a sports fan network. I mean, I guess we
I
can
know.
talk about
I
anything.
think
But
just
Wrong channel, though. Wrong
Mike,
channel.
just to humor the NFC North people, like, how did you feel about that end of the game?
Riddle
went
me this,
happy.
Batman.
I got nothing. Randy. Our coach sucks. We
I don't-
should have ran another play.
You guys should have won the game.
We should have been a couple yards closer. They had time to run another play. They didn't. They thought 46 yards was close enough.
It is close enough.
Not for
It
Cairo
is.
Santos.
And you know what? What are
kicks
you going
lower
to do? The
than
defense
anybody.
made a great play. They blocked the kick. Like,
Yeah,
what are you going to do? It happens.
not for
Should have beat
Aubrey.
the Packers.
And now we know
But
your feelings.
I'll say this. Caleb Williams had him in position. You know, he didn't play a bad game.
True.
He had a
No, he
drive
played
there
a
at the
good
end
game.
to try to win the game at the end of the game. He did everything he was supposed to do. I'll take it. You know, it's progress. I mean, you got to put him in them positions to succeed or fail, and he's not the one that failed this time. So
Yeah, I'm just
I'll take it.
disappointed that Green Bay got another win because I'm gonna
Same.
have to give that stupid dingus $50 at the end of the year.
11 straight versus us, and
Yeah,
that's
that's
definitely
a guaranteed,
the
Randy.
dumb
That's
shit.
a guaranteed.
Believe me,
he keeps telling
I'm
me.
well aware.
Yeah, he keeps letting me know to remind you that you can just pay him anytime.
Tell him I'll pay him in 2020. Never.
He'll watch the pod Thursday.
Come on, pay him.
I will.
That man bought me a coffee that day. I appreciate that.
I will.
He's a good guy.
This is the longest episode ever. Somebody put it into
I'm
it.
just going to keep letting you guys go at this point.
Nope. I'm done.
Anybody else? Steven's been giving us this for like 15 minutes. We're going to go. Thanks,
Yeah.
everybody.
See you next week.
See you next week, fellas.
Shut up, Chris.
Oh, nice hat.